Welcome back to another little video. My last video of me selling my sheds, lots of people actually wanted to see what my keeper pile was. So as you can tell, there's lots of deer and then a few decent ones right here. So let's get straight into the video and I'll just show you exactly what I kept this year and hopefully you enjoy. Alright, first up is one of the better moose sheds I found this year. I made a video on this, but yeah, it's just a stud moose. Pretty decent palm. As you can tell, it's not huge, but that is a pretty solid moose shed from this year. Shed me my dad found a few years ago, but this one's big. Look at how big that one is. That one's super big. This one's way bigger palm at least. This one's hard white. Ended up getting to keep this one. This one's just got freaking mega mass for how small it is. Like, look at that. Look how tiny, but it's just cool. And then if you didn't know, I do Euro. If you want your heads to turn out like this, let me know. I make them all pretty. But that's a pretty cool buck. It's kind of cool eye guards, just a little split. Since we're on deadheads, I'll grab this one right above me. This is a buck. That is just 33 inches wide. It's just a mega buck. A buck me and my buddy Matt hunted during archery. I'll put in some clips right now. The story on this buck is actually on my page, so if you wanted to see it, I have a shed off this buck, which I'll get to in a minute. And finally found his deadhead. Was hoping for his sheds, but it's kind of cool that I have 4 years of experience with this buck, and then ended up finding one shed, and then a few others have sheds off it. A few more moose sheds that I found. Just a cool little one. This one might be big. He already kind of has 3 fronts growing right there, as you can tell. It's not huge, but I just keep every moose shed I find because I don't find very many. And just this little tiny one. But like I said, I don't sell any moose sheds. They're hard to find. It's not big, but kind of a cool little one. As you can tell, I don't sell any. Just lots of little ones. Like tiny moose sheds. Like, how is that even a moose shed? And this is a very special elk set that I found. Maybe some of you didn't know, but my buddy Birch, he passed away. And this is the bull I call Birch Bull because me and my buddy, the day before he passed away actually, we saw this bull together. It's not a huge bull, but it's a good bull. Very special set. Kind of hard to see, but yeah, he's just a solid little 6. The day before he passed away, me and him ended up looking for some elk, and I found this bull. Story on this bull, like the full story's on my page again, so just scroll down a few and you'll see the Birch Bull. Very, very special set of elk sheds, so that'll be in the keeper forever. And this was just a super special one because me and my buddy Birch and then my buddy Tegan found this one. It's just kind of a special one because I found it with my buddy, so kind of a cool little unique shed though. Look at this base, strange. Very weird. Now we're going to get into the big deer stack, so hopefully you enjoyed these little parts. Now let's get into this big old stack. This is the shed off the deadhead side. Hopefully you can see that pretty good, but literally identical. Go like this maybe. This is hard to do, but literally identical. Same eye guard, same everything, so that's pretty dope. This one's the one that I found during the bow hunt. Just a ginormous back end, but it's broke as you can tell. Like broken off at the base, so that would have been a horrible break for that buck, but it's just a cool one. This is just a giant. I don't know where this came from, like, because this was my uncle's and he passed away, and it's just a ginormous one. It used to be in his flower garden. I don't know if he found it and tried storing it because it looks like crap, but it's just a giant. I bet that's all of 90 something inches as a 4-point with a freaking ginormous eye guard. Like, look at that. It's a 3.5 inch eye guard, just ginormous front. But yeah, it's just a cool shed. Don't know the story, wish I did. This one was just kind of a cool one from Wyoming this year. You guys probably saw it, just a little cheater. Decent beam, it's not huge, it's just kind of a cool one, so thought I'd keep it. Cool story on this little guy. It's like an inline 5, as you can tell. It's just super small and massy. But I actually have 3 or 4 years off this buck, but I ended up selling them all, and then I ended up finding another year because I thought he was dead. Didn't see him for 2 years, so that's why I sold all the sheds. I was dumb. I used to sell everything when I was young. Could never match this one up, which kind of sucks. It's kind of a cool little weird one. This is a buck that I have pretty decent history with too. My buddy, good old Matt Lee, he actually has a set off this buck. He was right around, I don't know, probably 180s, 185. This year he's probably the same. Maybe pushing 190 just because of the little extras. Could never match him up. But I actually ended up seeing him this year on the winter range and still can never find the sheds. This is freaking just a beast. I didn't find this, my buddy gave it to me. But me and my buddy Matt, once again, was watching this buck. His other side has a big old inline. I have 4 years of trail cam pictures up in the high country of this buck. My brother almost killed him, I've almost killed him, and then it ended up getting shot last year during the rifle by a guy. Not sure who he was, but it ended up going like 190 something as a typical. So that's a stud typical. You can just go through them and watch them, and I think I've gotten pickups of all these. This is just a giant shed. As you can tell, its back end's freaking huge. I know the guy who has the other side. His other side is just a giant beam like this, and then he actually has a big old split, and then he wanted it inline, but it broke off. And I have a year off this buck, and it's out here. I'll probably show it to you in a little bit. And this one was this last year. I'm sure some of you guys recognize it. I actually know a person who found the other side, but I haven't gotten in contact with him. I've tried. He just hasn't answered me, so yeah, but big old double eye guard. I have the video on this shed too, so like I said, I won't say any more, but just go through my videos and you'll watch all these. I'm sure some of you have already seen this, but just a super cool shed. This was my last Wyoming shed trip. This one actually scored 80, I think it was just 83 or 84. It wasn't as big as I thought it was, just because of that little front. But yeah, that G2 is pushing 20, 21. Just a big old shed. It's just a cool one. I just love big old typicals. One is from this last year too. I'm sure some of you seen this video too. This is a buck I was watching for 3 months. Ended up glassing this side up. Got it picked up and could never match it up either. Practically watched him drop the left side and I still couldn't freaking find it. I think someone has it obviously, but not that I know of, so maybe it's still up there. This just is a cool buck because I hunt this unit that he's on, so hopefully I can figure out where this buck summers and get him killed, because that's just a gnarly buck. He might be way big this year because of the antler growth. It should be pretty good because of all the moisture we've been getting, so yeah, that's a cool one. Just a big old cheater. Me and my buddy Shane matched up. This was just right around 200, 201, but we'll just say 200. Just giant freaking mass. Like, a lot of people don't understand how big this set is. These are like 3 pounds each too, which is the crazy part. Then it has those little extras. This is the side that I found, and then Shane found this side. This was 83. This one was 93 or something. So that's right at 200 pretty much, with 25, 20, no, it was at 27 inches outside, inside. So pretty cool buck. We have 3 years off this buck too. Shane ended up keeping all of them just so we can both have some sheds off them, because that's an awesome set. This is the biggest shed I've ever found. Has that little extra, puts him right at 96 inches as a 4-point. And I'm not kidding. This is a 22-inch G2. I don't know. You can tell. That's a 13-inch. I think that's a G4. Main beams all of 23, 26. I meant. Yeah, you can just tell it's giant. One of my biggest sheds. I know of someone who has a set off this buck, and the year before it was like 210 or something. So that's pretty cool. I think this buck actually got killed by one of my buddies. And he was 203 when he got killed, so he kind of decreased, but as you can tell, just a giant freaking shed. Look at this deer set. It's not even big, but just look at these bases. Freaking gnarly. The coolest sheds I've ever found. Cool set. Just got that super pretty boxy frame. Probably 160 buck. Like I said, not big. It's just like one of those frames that are so cool. This is just a big 80-incher I found last year. Nothing too special. It's just a big Massey 4. Kind of a cool frame on it. Beam's like 26. Just a giant beam on it, really. But yeah, nothing too special. Not much mass other than up here. Just a young deer, but this thing's super old, so he's probably freaking 230 by now if he had this same frame right now. This is a four-year-old set, just laying on the ground for that long. Just so many points everywhere. Look at that. It's like a 6x5. I think that's pretty cool. One of the cooler ones from this year. Just a big old 5-point. 5x4, I guess. I think I had a year off this buck too, but I sold it. Found this one, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was a long time ago. This was my best set for quite some time. Comment below what your guys' dream sheds are, because this is exactly what mine is, except obviously way bigger. But if it was an inline 5x5 with big eye guards, dream set. Like that is just the prettiest look, I think, on a deer. Well, I made a video on this buck, which is kind of cool. I have 3 years off him. So this is the first year I have off him. I found this one brown. Ended up finding this one this year, so hard white. Pretty cool set right there. This is the 2-year-old set, so the year before that. And he didn't grow much at all. But like I found all these this year, except for the one brown. So that is cool. He didn't grow much. Found his brown this year, so he's kind of decreasing. Didn't match up this one yet. Hopefully I can get in there this year and match it up. And here's a set me and my uncle Scott matched up. Just a solid 170 buck. This side's way big. That G2 is freaking pushing 20 probably. Another 23-inch beams. Just a cool buck. Just super framey. This is just a cool 6-point. Found with my buddy Birch again, so I want to keep it. Just look at that. It's kind of cool. Has that big old flyer. It's a super cool buck. Just young. Like he would have sat super wide, it looks like. Like this is probably giant now. This is a cool Wyoming shed. Just a giant palmated eye guard. Just a pretty little 4. I don't know, some sheds that are small that I keep, like this one, they're just super cool. Like look at this. Look how tiny. But see that little inline on top? I feel like this one might be something special. So I thought I'd keep it. And then just a big old 2-point that I kept. Another Wyoming shed. And then just a tiny shed. As you can tell, it has a little bit of character. And this is a unit that I can hunt, so I like to keep sheds like this just in case he blows up next year, and then maybe I'll get a chance to kill him, you know, just in case. And then this is just a giant 3-point that I found in Wyoming. This thing's massive, freaking pretty big. It's just a big 3. I seem to find way big 3-points in Wyoming. Wyoming is the home of giant 4s or giant 3-points. My uncle that ended up passing away found this one, and I matched it up. Or I guess I found this one first brown, and then he found a hard white. So that's just a freaking giant, pretty much 3-point set. Like this is a 80-something inch 3-point, probably like right around 80 to 82. This one's probably about the same, but his beam broke off 10 inches. That's just an awesome set right there. Super special because my uncle found it. This is a cool freaking shed I found. Looking for a set up here that I'll grab. But yeah, this is just a big buck. I watched this buck quite a few years too. Ended up only getting 1 shed off him, and then I know a few people that found the set off after this and he blew up. Not many people know of this set. This is a buck that my buddy Matt once again called Grappler. Just look at how cool of deer this is. Unfortunately, I'm an idiot and cut the sheds off, cut the bases off just to put on a fake skull, and then ended up breaking the skull, so that's why it looks like that. But super cool deer, look at that. And these things are dense, like so top heavy. I found the big 6-point side, and then my buddy Tegan found the big 5. But look at that frame. He's just so cool and compact. The year before this, he was right around, I don't know, 190s. This is probably like a 170 set. But look at that, just super cool and compact. Okay, so this is an awesome story behind this one. So as you can tell, maybe this will focus. See that broadhead point right there? Guess what happened? I actually ended up shooting this buck right in the horn, and he got away. And then how crazy is it that I ended up finding its set? This is a buck me and my buddy Tegan were hunting for years and could never stick it with a freaking arrow. We worked so hard to try to get it done, and I ended up hitting it right in the horn, and then I ended up finding its set. So that's pretty cool right there. That'll be a cool story forever. This is a big old Wyoming set my dad found. Just a 185 typical. Just a stud buck. Giant eye guards. Just a dreamy look to him. Super pretty buck. That got me really hooked because he actually gave me this set. And that's when I realized there's sheds like this laying out there. That's when I started picking them up. Then this is the same area that I found this buck, that he found this. That set he found was 25 years ago. Ended up finding this one 2 years ago. So same jeans out there. This one's just freaking massive though. Look at that. That was one of the better finds of that year that we hiked in there. This is just a super unique shed. Found this with my buddy Birch once again. Look at that. It has a double beam type thing. Big eye guard, and then look at this weird girl. There it goes. See that? How weird is that? It's just a little 4-point, but I think that is so cool. I'm never gonna find one like that. Big old massive 4-point shed that I found in Wyoming once again. I love good old Wyoming. Can't wait to make another trip out there. It's just getting super hot, so it might have to be in the fall, but that's just a super pretty 4-point. Another Wyoming 5-point shed that I found. It's just kind of a long G2, super tiny front. It's just kind of a cool little frame on it. I say giant just because of how dense they are. This is like a 160 type 3-point, 150. It's kind of a cool buck though for sure. So again, another giant 3-point. This one's actually really big. That's like as long as my whole arm. Another big old Wyoming 3-point. Super willow horn though. I can't believe it didn't like snap its horn off. Super tiny mass on it. A few years ago. It's just a cool buck. I actually hunted this buck with my buddy Caden, and we never got it done. We saw this buck like the day before the opener, and then he went back up there and could never find it again. Buddy Tegan's brother Bo found this one. Just a big 3-point, and then I found this whitetail look inside. And this is the buck we call Whitey, just because of obvious reason. Looks at him. Looks just like a whitetail, but he's a mule deer. Even like giant eye guards. It's kind of cool. He sat super wide too. He's probably sat about just like that. It's kind of a cool buck. Most of these sheds I have lots of history with. I've either watched them or I've tried finding their sheds and then a few years later found them. Me and my buddy matched up. Birchy. Good old Birch. Like I said, I just kept a lot of stuff that me and him found together because he obviously ain't here with me anymore. Keep our memories together just like this. He found this side, then I glassed this side up. It's just cool. Just a little buck. And this is just a cool up-and-comer buck. Just on the same winter range that I hunt, that I found that super wide deadhead on. And it has like the same frame, so it wouldn't surprise me if this buck blows up this next year. Blows up very, very big. And I actually know where this buck summers. I have trail cam pictures of him. Good idea of where this buck's going to be this next year. And I'm really hoping he grows some extras because I think he's going to. I think this buck might be really big this year. With a little cheater, I guess 4-point type deal, and then a broken hook. Big ol' eye guard. It's one of those cool 3-points. I find lots of big 3-points thinking about it. This is one of my uncle's that I said earlier that was in his yard. Just a giant freaking shed, like so big. I really want to know the story. I wonder if he found it, or I'm sure he did. That's a big shed, like very big shed. That's all of 190s. Look at that. Has that little cheater in the back. Freaking beam that's probably pushing 27. Big eye guard, double eye guard, lots of extra crap down low. Set me and my buddy Birch found in Wyoming once again. It's a decent buck. Could never find it years after. I'm sure he got pretty big. Cause yeah, he just has that frame. Like this side at least is pretty decent. Then he wanted like cheaters and all that, so I'm surprised we never could find him again. Have like 4 years of history with and only could find one side. He is not big at all. It's just kind of a cool little 5-point shed. I'm going to go out there and show you the set that I have off of that big 4-point, and then another bad A set that I found with big old cheaters. So let's go do that now. Hopefully you can see this good enough, but so this is the shed I was showing you with the big back end, and this is the brown set I have off him. He's just turned into a giant 3x4. This is 175 pushing, now this is probably around 180. I scored him right around 170, like 8 or something, so pretty much about that. Just giant mass. Like, look at this on the 3-point side. This is one of the biggest 3-point sheds I have. But yeah, I put them on a fake school, kind of cool. I'll show you. The reason I know it's the same buck is I'll bring this in pretty close and show you. So see the eye guard, literally identical, you can tell. And like I said, the other side to this is just giant. I'll put in a picture right now of it, and it's just way big. My battery's about to die, so I'll hurry and show you this other set of sheds I have. Cool little buck. Have 4 years off him. Ended up selling them all except for this year. Put him on a fake skull. Just super cool. Look at that. Back view's awesome. Watch this buck a lot during the winter too. Hopefully you enjoyed that little episode of just my keeper pile. A few people DM'd me and reached out on YouTube, and I thought I'd make a cool little video. So I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe and comment what your favorite shed out of my pile is, or like I said, what your dream set looks like. Could even be a buck you wanted to kill, like that one. But I appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one.